Yo, what's going on guys? My name's Aaron and I'm back with a brand new video. So today it's going to be a follow-up on my pre 1.2 build that I posted up a couple weeks back. That video got quite a bit of attention and I'm extremely grateful to everybody who watched that. I hope you guys learned something from that. I hope you took something away and were able to better your build. So without further ado, let's hop straight into this build. So my baseline stats are sitting at 226. 1000 DPS, 324,000 toughness, and 15,000 skill power. Um, and the emphasis of this build is going to be PvP. But it can be used for PvE. It's just less effective if you're doing it by yourself, which I highly advise against if you're going to be in the dark zone. It's definitely best to go in there with at least a team of 4. But yeah, so you can see straight away that my build is going to be consisting of 5 gear set items and 1 high-end gear piece. So I have 2 sentries and 3 striker. This is to activate obviously the 3 set bonuses for striker and then the 1 set bonus for sentry. Right now I'm running also a high-end holster. So let's hop first straight into my weapon. So my primary weapon is the AUG A3 Para X. This one was the one bought in the base of operations a couple weeks back. It has a 22.5 crit hit chance, 10.6 gate damage, which is boosted up from my firearms. Um, and it's a decent gun for what I needed to do, which is to fight NPCs as well as some agents if it comes to that. You can see some of my stats here as well, but the main thing about this gun are the talents. So it was brutal, vicious, and meticulous. Meticulous isn't the best. Vicious is also isn't the best because you're not going to be at full health in the dark zone um, a lot of the time. But brutal is the one that's going to be standing out here. Unfortunately, they also nerfed brutal in 1.2, so I've noticed a difference there in the damage I'm doing with this weapon. But it still is a decent weapon. And if you weren't able to pick up the tactical AUG blueprint in the dark zone, then this one was definitely a good one. The second one that got put up was this AUG. It had a 25% crit chance and 9,000 damage, which is also boosted up from my firearms. But it rolled deadly, responsive, and swift, which is also very good talents. Um, Swift really helps out with the AUG, especially due to its very long reload time. So if you don't have the AUG uh, Para XX, which was put out a couple weeks back in the base operations, or you weren't able to pick up the tactical AUG blueprint, then this AUG here that's in this week's rotation is a very good buy for you. My secondary is a first wave M1A. Now previously I was running around with this M1A, which was pretty much a guard roll minus the headshot damage. So it had 146 headshot damage, 40k damage per bullet, and it rolled balanced, harmful, and capable. This was a very good roll on my first wave M1A, but unfortunately they had to nerf or just completely ruin balanced. It's not as effective as it once was on the M1A. So now I had to re-roll, and I managed to get this one. It still isn't the best. It doesn't have any of those brutal or deadly talents, but the headshot damage is a 164 with a 38.3k damage per bullet. It rolled meticulous, which is an active, accurate, and vicious. I understand that accurate does also boost up your DPS a lot, so the true value for this would be around 120. But still, after the nerf of balanced and capable, in my opinion, accurate is still a viable substitute. So we'll head on over to my gear. So for my chest piece, I'm running a striker's harness with armor. So if you're going for a build with a lot of toughness, you're going to want to roll armor on your chest piece, as this is one of the main gear pieces that you can get the highest armor on. So this is a 214 gear set item. It rolls stamina, and I chucked on a firearms mod for crit hit chance on this one. It also rolled 40% ammo capacity, health, and obviously the armor. Ammo capacity being the weaker one here. But yeah, definitely room for improvement on this one. It's a 214 gear piece. It's not bad. The stamina isn't the highest. But you know, just with time, these builds will get better. So my mask is a Sentry's Call. This is the same one I had in my pre 1.2 build. It rolled a fairly high armor roll, and I put on armor as the mod for it as well. It also got skill power and blind death resistance. So if you guys are, getting builds with quite low skill power, then I would suggest you craft either a mask or a backpack with the attribute being skill power, because this is one of the major ways that you can actually increase your skill power of your build without actually sacrificing mods or just taking out gear pieces altogether. So if you guys are running around with say 10,000 skill power, then I would highly suggest crafting a new mask or maybe a backpack with skill power as the attribute, as those are the only two gear items that you could actually roll the attribute skill power on. So the next piece of gear is Striker's knee pads. This one was good just because of the resistances. So it got Disrupt, Burn, and Shock. But it does also have critical hit damage, a fairly average roll in the stamina. This is also a 214 gear set item. Uh, and I chucked on a mod slot for armor on this one as well. So with the addition of this knee pads, I activate the second set bonus, which was enemy armor damage. This is why this build is so prevalent in the Dark Zone, because you can just rip through people, or rip through NPCs with armor, especially when you're sitting at DPSs of higher than 200,000. So the next part is my backpack. So I rolled, this one rolled armor. I believe this was picked up, I'm not 100% sure. But it got a fairly good roll on the firearms as well as the armor. It got burn resistance, pulse critical hit damage, and smart cover. The skill attributes aren't bad. The major attribute definitely is the best, or the one you want to be looking for here. This is also a 214 gear set item, and with the addition of this one, it activates the second set bonus, which is 30% headshot damage. And I also rolled, or not rolled, but added in a stamina mod for armor on this backpack. So the next part is my Striker's gloves. This is definitely the weakest point of my build. In a perfect world, I would want to use these Savage gloves. They rolled 517 stamina as well as critical hit damage, critical chance, and health on kill. So these are quite good gloves. The armor is a little bit low, but the critical hit damage, critical chance makes up for it. You can see my toughness get boosted all the way up there. My DPS suffers a little bit. But it's alright for what I'm getting. I would rather take a DPS blunder than have what I have on this glove, which is LMG damage and pistol damage, which is absolutely horrendous. The firearms is quite decent on it though, because it is a 240 gear piece. But other than that, this is definitely the weakest point of my build. The last piece is my tactical holster, which I actually believe I bought in the Dark Zone in this week's rotation. I previously had a holster, you can check that out in my pre 1.2. But this one had 550, I believe, on all three stats, which is quite good actually for a 204 gear piece. So I rolled firearms to get it just a little bit higher. Its attribute was armor and ballistic shield damage, and the talent is steadfast, which actually isn't that bad. Especially if you're in a gunfight, you can just quickly hop into some cover and get your regeneration back up. So as far as that goes, that's my build. I'm gonna hop into my character now, just to show you some of the main overviews of my set. So I have 44% crit hit chance on my current org, a 164 critical hit damage, and a 155 headshot damage with my org, which isn't terrible. The crit hit chance definitely could be a lot higher, but it is what it is. Now if we move on over to survivability, I'm sitting at 88,000 health which actually hasn't changed that much from my pre 1.2 build, which was 250 DPS and 88,000 health. But my armor now is at 72.79 mitigation, which isn't, the worst armor mit it could be at, but it isn't the best. Obviously, the mitigation that would be the best or the most prevalent would be 75%. And I just don't have the gear right now to be sitting at that. But, with a lot of farming in the DZ, it is achievable. I understand that people are sitting at 600,000 toughness, and around about 200,000 DPS, and the only reason for that is because they're running different gear set items. So say maybe a final measures backpack and gloves of the nomad or something like that. Ridiculously high armor, ridiculously high stamina, but the thing they're sacrificing with that is the set bonuses. So with this build here, with the 3 striker 2 sentry, you're getting the best of both worlds. Your toughness is still pretty high, your armor's high, your DPS is still high. You can still kill people without sacrificing a lot of your skill power and your set bonuses. So that about wraps it up for today's build guide. Um, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I'll be posting up another build as well as some Dark Zone gameplay in the next couple days. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys learned something from this video. I definitely noticed a change in my, character losing all 4 sentry. But I'm curious to see how it's going to change now when I start farming more in the DZ. Hopefully getting some 240 gear pieces. But yeah, that wraps it up, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.